Chris, thank you for your patience and for the time this afternoon. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Thank you, Macheka, and I'm very impressed with your Afrikaans accent. It's very good.
Really? Ek probeer, dankie. Okay, so for those who may not be familiar, what is the African Farming Agri-Development Imbizo? Because that is actually the convening that we're discussing this afternoon. Why has it become such an important structure and platform in the agricultural space?
Yeah, Macheka, I think the reason why, firstly, I think the team that organizes it, our editor on that platform, Peter Mashala, he's also a farmer himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he farmed up there in the former, they're close to Jericho, in the former homeland of Bophuthatswana. He's got there on his family grounds. He's a cattle and veg farmer. And it's just sort of a team of people that have sort of a deep understanding of what the issues are, and I think that interplay between Landbouweekblad and African farming, Landbouweekblad is a 106-year-old agricultural media brand, and we've got
Right.
incredibly good contact on the commercial sector, so we
Mm-hmm.
we sort of bring the commercial and the new era sector together. And I think it brings together all the top minds in agriculture, both from a commercial farming, from a new era of farming, and then from the sort of the policy space. So
Right.
so it's really sort of that is sort of the cutting edge conversation in agriculture at the moment, and it sort of really touches on all the salient points, that's shaping the reality of South African agriculture.
Okay. I think also it's just so interesting to note. I mean, even the word imbizo, it really speaks to a gathering, dialogue, and but also community building, which is so important. Many farmers attend events, but not all of these events are good at being able to translate into real change. Let's talk about the imbizo on a practical level, Chris, for farmers in particular on the ground. How are you making sure that the space is one of empowering, especially the young farmers that are trying to scale and become commercial one day?
Yeah, so being farmers ourselves, what I mean, we've got a really sort of a keen understanding of what the issues are, and I
Yeah.
think, I mean, if a person boils it down to the basics, the three things that shape agriculture is the weather,
Hmm.
and it's markets and it's financing. I mean, those three are the issues that decide whether a farmer is going to be successful or not. So, in terms of financing, there's always a big focus on that. We've got of the sort of the top, banks, development banks there. The
Right.
the development financiers are all there. In terms of markets, our keynote speaker, Lau van Reenen, he's the head of Beefmaster Feedlots, and they were, of course, instrumental in opening up our markets in the Middle East, where all the trouble's happening at the moment, which is a bit
Hmm.
of a challenge.
Hmm.
But also sort of, and against the backdrop of foot and mouth, that's a very, very central conversation that we need to have.
Yeah.
How do we get the red meat sector back up and running, and how do we sort of capitalize on the wonderful work that's been made to develop our export markets? I don't think people always appreciate, the red meat sector, specifically the cattle market. Almost half of our national herd gets managed in the formal communal areas, you know what I mean, of the former homelands. Incredibly strategically critical part of our national agriculture.
Hmm.
And the vision has always been, if we can export 20% of the red meat of the cattle that we raise in this country, and we can export them into real sort of premium export markets, we can substantially raise the price of meat locally, which means that we can really create wealth in some of our poorest areas in South Africa.
Yeah.
My family farm is in the Eastern Cape. We live right on the former border of the former Transkei. So a lot of my mates farm in the former Transkei. And, you know, um, if we get these things right, we're creating real wealth, we're creating real livelihoods. So, those are critical conversations. Lau van Reenen, I mean, their Beefmaster feedlots, they were the guys that went to Gulf Foods in the Middle East, developed those markets, and
Hmm.
sort of stand central to the vision of developing the sector. So that in the light of what's happening in this country at the moment with foot and mouth, what a critical conversation, and it's one that we really believe in. For us, agriculture is not just merely something that we do.
Yeah,
Agriculture stands really central to developing South Africa as a country,
that's
and
right. Yeah.
and central to the solutions to some of the biggest problems faced by the country.
Right. I think, I think it's so wonderful that you talk about, the things that farmers have to navigate today, the climate change, the disease outbreaks. Veld fires are also a big issue for farmland as you and I speak, Chris. The role of media in agriculture. Let's talk about that. What have you seen in your experience about how the media has been able to shape narratives within agriculture, especially at this time?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, Machiko. That I think the big shift that we've seen over the past, I don't know, 10, 13, 14 years, ever since the advent of social media and digital media. In the old days when I used to be the editor of Farmers Weekly back in the early 2000s, we
Yeah.
used to report on agriculture. We used
Yeah.
to be passive, you quite a passive participant in agriculture. The news would happen, we would report on it. We used to visit farmers on the farms and report back on what was happening. In the past 13, 14 years since I've been at Landbou Weekblad and African farming,
Hmm.
we've really become part of the story. We've been, as a media brand, really been shaping the narrative in the sense of our responsibility has shifted to trying to show farmers, in terms of what's happening globally, what is the direction that we need to go in, because there's so much happening in terms of the climate, in terms of of international markets, in
Right.
terms of agricultural research. So, for instance, to give you an example, two examples that I want to just briefly touch in, something like land reform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Has been such a it's been such a critical issue in South Africa, and it was such a new development, and we realized that it's our responsibility to actually illustrate those examples of land reform that are really working. Working in the sense
Mm.
of creating real wealth. Not just redistributing wealth, but creating real wealth
Yeah.
with real partnerships where everyone is better off than when they were than when they started. And a few years ago we had that fantastic Bella Land Reform Conference where we had 75 of the best land reform projects in South Africa. And because we are in the industry, we know about these projects, we know about the success stories, and it just blew people away. People said, "Well, we didn't know about this." So that's the one thing. And then in terms of climate change and agriculture and the direction that we're going in, I think regenerative farming is the future. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a future for very specific reasons.
Yeah.
One, it addresses climate change.
Hmm.
I mean, there is no doubt that we are going into a climate that's going to be a lot more volatile. And we've seen, in our grain producing areas, how the planting season has moved on. I mean, we
Hmm.
see down here in the Western Cape how the rain, we still get the same amount of rain, but the rain sometimes comes all in one shot. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you've got to be a lot more resilient. Your farm needs to be more resilient.
Yeah.
Your soils need to be more resilient in terms of of being able to absorb the water, that there's no runoff. And then also we need to be able to farm cheaper. I mean, we're seeing now with the war in Iran, all that
Mm.
fertilizer, all the oil that's coming through the straits of Hormuz. Now suddenly it's not coming, and the price of urea has just shot up just stratospherically increased.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to find a way of farming more in tune with nature. That means that we use less. fertilizers, and that we actually regenerate our natural systems. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you want the soils not to just stay stable; you want them to actually improve. And uh, what makes me so incredibly excited is that this science. It's not hocus pocus. We've done, for instance, the research on ultra high density grazing in rights, where we basically use animals, cattle we use in these big herds that mimic the game herds of the days gone by, where you had big herds of game moving across the grasslands, and they were in herds because you had apex predators like lions and hyenas
Right.
and these animals that kept these animals in herds. And we've done the same in rights. We put cattle into big herds that first graze the long grass. Then we've got sheep that go behind them that graze it further down, and then lastly we've got mobile chicken coops that then follow the animals. And the impact that we've seen on the grasslands have been absolutely astonishing. Where the productivity of the grasslands have increased threefold. The plant diversity has just exploded. We've got grass species returning that haven't been seen there in 70 years. As a matter of fact, no farmer can remember ever seeing these grass species, and these are all sort of prime, very palatable grass species. I mean, we've got legumes returning that haven't been described by science. So
Right.
the point I'm just trying to make is that there's so much exciting potential in agriculture right now. I mean, I've been working in agriculture for close on 30 years, and never before. I mean, um, never before have we been faced by such incredible challenges, but also where we have these incredibly exciting solutions to these
Mm-hmm.
challenges. So, I mean, for a farmer and for somebody in agricultural media, you know, I can't think of any better place to be, because we addressing food issues, we addressing climate issues, we addressing social issues, all the issues that South Africa faces.
Yeah.
Agriculture has the answers for. I mean, it's incredibly exciting.
It really, really is, and I think for me, that's what makes development spaces like the Imbizo for
Yeah,
2026 so important, so critical at this time. Is that we, as a sector in agriculture, are able to turn these challenges into opportunity, right? So
absolutely.
I guess the gist of the story is, don't be overwhelmed. Okay, you're not alone. There are experts. There are other farmers who are sharing the same challenges, but also there is a big continental and global network that you have access to. So African Farming Agri Development Imbizo taking place this year. Just remind us of the dates before we let you go, Chris, and also how we can get a seat as part of this convening.
It's taking place next week, actually,
Right.
Wednesday and Thursday, I think. And AfricanFarming.com. Just go onto the website, and you'll be able to get your tickets there. And just the last thing, Machiko, what makes it so amazing,
Yes.
something like the African Imbizo and agriculture, is farmers. White, black, whatever, doesn't matter. Farmers are a very unique species in the sense that they're all subject to the vagaries of nature, and
Mm-hmm.
wherever you go, farmers are always so willing to help, always so willing to share the solutions to the problems. And that, I think, is what makes us in Bezo so extraordinary, is just that sort of camaraderie among farmers. You know what I mean? And the positivity that comes out of it. So we really hope to see everyone next Thursday and Friday up in Pretoria, and AfricanFarming.com. Go and book your tickets, and let's see you there.
Please book a ticket. This is very important. This is almost like you don't have a choice but to be part of these conversations, because they are shaping you. You are part of shaping policy. You're part of building an ecosystem that you can be proud of. When you look at the next 5 to 10 years, you can be like, I was there in the front row of situations and gatherings that really shaped agriculture. So just for your personal notes, 26th and 27th of March, okay? Okay, so africanfarming.com or landbou.com if you'd like to grab yourself a ticket and also just have a look at some additional information on who is participating. Chris, thank you very much. This was such an important conversation. I think above the Imbizo, we're just really grateful for the time, and all the best for what's to come over the next 2 days.
Thank you for having me. It was a real pleasure.